The revolver is supposed to be the answer when reliability is the only thing that matters. No slide to rack, no magazine to seat, no extractor to break. You point it, you pull the trigger, it fires. That promise has sold revolvers to American shooters for over a century. And for most revolvers, in most conditions, it holds. But there are 6 revolvers in circulation right now that broke it in ways the manufacturers never advertised. One of them fires when it hits the floor. One of them needs a pen to reload in the field. And the most expensive one on this list costs $1,600 for a reputation that the manufacturer stopped being able to actually deliver. 6 to 1. If you are holding one of these right now, stay until we get to the number it lands on. If you want straight information about what revolvers are actually worth your money in 2026, and which ones will cost you more at the gunsmith than you paid at the counter, subscribe right now. No sponsorships, no manufacturer relationships. One click. Let's go. Number 6, Heritage Rough Rider. .22 LR. On paper, the Rough Rider makes sense. Single action, cowboy style. .22 long rifle. Price between $180 and $200. If you need something affordable for the farm, the range, or teaching a new shooter the basics, the price point looks reasonable. The manufacturing doesn't hold up to that framing. Tolerances between units from the same production lot are inconsistent to the point where 2 Rough Riders off the same shelf behave differently. The trigger is rough from the box, not broken in rough, mechanically rough in a way that does not improve with use. Cylinder timing is loose enough in documented cases that the firing pin does not strike the primer with consistent force. The result is ignition failures. In a single-action revolver where you have already cocked the hammer, a click instead of a bang is not a minor inconvenience. The value proposition collapses when something breaks. Heritage does not maintain a part supply that supports repair at scale. The repair cost at a competent gunsmith frequently exceeds the original purchase price. Used Rough Riders trade for less than $100, and experienced buyers pass on them at any price because they know what the ownership math looks like after the first malfunction. Number 5. Charter Arms Pitbull 9mm. Charter Arms makes revolvers with legitimate market positions. The Bulldog in .44 Special has a genuine and earned reputation. The Pitbull 9mm is a different story entirely. And the problem is not the caliber. It is an engineering decision the manufacturer made and has not corrected. 9mm is rimless. It does not headspace on a rim like .38 Special or .357 Magnum. To chamber rimless cartridges in a revolver cylinder, the Pitbull uses half-moon or full-moon clips. That is an established and workable solution. The problem is the extractor. The Pitbull's ejector rod is too short to fully clear spent casings in a standard ejection stroke. When you fire and push the ejector rod, the casings do not clear. They hang up under the extractor star. The documented reload procedure involves using a pen, a key, or a finger to push each casing out individually. In any situation where speed matters, this is not an inconvenience. It is a functional failure of the revolver's basic operational requirement. Charter Arms was aware of this through early production user reports. The design was not corrected. The secondary market reflects a consistent 40 to 50% loss from retail. Distributors report the Pitbull is among the most declined revolvers in consignment because the flaw is too well known in the buyer community to absorb. Number 4. Taurus 6 05.357 Magnum. The Taurus 605 is the budget entry point for a compact .357 Magnum revolver. 5 chambers, stainless option, 2-inch barrel. Price between $380 and $420. For buyers who want .357 capability without Ruger or Smith & Wesson pricing, it looks reasonable. The cylinder play is the documented issue. Lateral and frontal movement that should be measured in fractions of a thousandth of an inch appears within the first few hundred rounds of full-power .357 ammunition. In a high-pressure platform that is not cosmetic. Cylinder misalignment affects barrel-to-cylinder gap, which affects pressure containment. In a .357 Magnum, that matters. The warranty experience compounds the problem. Documented wait times of 4 to 6 months for service, units shipped to Brazil, guns returned with the original problem or new ones. Some owners have documented over a year without their firearm. The secondary market has applied a 35 to 50% loss in the first year of ownership, and many dealers decline the 605 in trade because the service reputation travels with the platform. Number 3, Rossi R461 and R97 1.357 Magnum. This is the one that should have been on every news broadcast in this country. Rossi, a sister company to Taurus under the same Brazilian parent, issued a safety advisory covering a specific range of models and serial numbers. The affected revolvers are the R351, R352, R461, R462, R851, R971, and R972. Serial numbers beginning with the letters IZ or AST. Manufactured between 2005 and 2017. The number of affected revolvers in American homes runs into the millions. The defect: these revolvers can discharge when dropped, not through negligence, not through user error, impact with a hard surface, a concrete floor, a truck bed, a gravel driveway. Activates the firing mechanism. The gun fires. No trigger contact required. The official Rossi safety advisory used these words. Stop using this revolver immediately. Not exercise caution. Not contact your dealer. Stop using it immediately. The advisory was late. The pattern of impact fire incidents was documented in injury reports and legal proceedings. Before any formal action was taken, people were injured. Full documentation of all injuries was not available because the owner notification system, relying on voluntary registration records that were incomplete, failed to reach a significant portion of affected owners. Millions of these revolvers changed hands in private sales between 2005 and 2017 with no record attached. Many of those guns are still in homes, in nightstands, in range bags, with owners who have never heard of the advisory. If you own a Rossi revolver with a serial number beginning in IZ or AST, verify your specific model against the advisory list on Rossi's website before handling it again. Secondary market value. Rossi R461 and R971 units that started between $150 and $200 are trading at $75 to $100 with repair documentation confirmed. Without documentation, they are functionally unsaleable in any informed market. Before we get to number 2 and number 1, subscribe right now. Next video covers the revolvers that professional buyers are actually seeking in 2026, the ones that never enter the secondary market at all. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Number 2, Colt Cobra. 2017 through 2019 production. Colt had not made double-action revolvers since 1999. The Cobra returned to market in 2017 at $700, carrying a name that means something in American firearms history. Buyers who had wanted a Colt wheel gun for years finally had an option that wasn't a collector piece. Then the guns got into the hands of owners. The failure in early Cobra production runs was not wear. It was materials. Firing pins fractured. Hammer rebound springs sheared. Hammers cracked at the same point across independent units. One owner documented 4 separate internal component failures over 4 months of moderate range use. The cause: cast metal components in the fire control group that were not heat treated to the spec the 38 special cycle requires in a short barrel double action system. The parts visually passed inspection. Under load, they failed. Colt addressed the metallurgy in later production. The problem is that 2017 through 2019 guns are the ones trafficking through the secondary market, often without disclosed production dates. A Cobra from 2020 is a different firearm than a Cobra from 2018, but a secondary market buyer has no reliable way to confirm which one they are holding without disassembly. Cobras from 2017 to 2019 trade between $350 and $450. You bought at $700. That is the math. Number 1. Colt Python 2020 relaunch. The Colt Python original is not on this list. The original Python, produced through 1999, is one of the most respected revolvers in American firearms history. The double-action trigger on a well-maintained original Python is the standard against which every other wheelgun trigger is measured. Originals in good condition trade between $2,000 and $4,000. They appreciate. They are among the few mass-produced revolvers that function as genuine investments. The 2020 relaunch is a different firearm wearing the same name. And this is the most important distinction I will make on this channel. Colt is selling you the name. They are not selling you the product that built the name. The 2020 Python launched between $1,200 and $1,600. The Python name and that price point implied a specific standard. What owners received was documented in their own reviews with specific and consistent complaints. Cylinder play. Movement from front to back in the cylinder that in a revolver at this price point should not exist from the box. On an original Python, cylinder lockup was one of the defining mechanical achievements. The reason the trigger felt the way it did, the reason accuracy was what it was. The 2020 relaunched Python has a cylinder that moves in multiple units straight out of the packaging at $1,600. The finish. The blue on original Pythons was a deep, even, hand-fitted bluing that took time and skilled labor to produce. The finish on the 2020 model is described by owners who hold both generations side by side as inferior to competitors selling at $400. When a $1,600 revolver loses a finish comparison to a $400 alternative, the manufacturer has not delivered the product the name represents. The trigger. The double action pull on the original Python was its crowning feature. Smooth, progressive, with a consistent break that competitive shooters still reference as the benchmark. On the 2020 relaunch, multiple owners describe stacking in the double action pull, inconsistent weight distribution through the stroke that is the antithesis of what the Python name is supposed to mean. Colt Python 2020 models are trading used between $1,000 and $1,200. You paid $1,600. That is a $400 to $600 loss on a revolver you purchased specifically because the name said it was worth the premium. The original Python earned that premium over decades of production and performance. Colt is currently cashing a check that the 2020 manufacturing process did not write. That is number 1. 6 revolvers. 6 cases where the documented owner experience, the secondary market prices, and in several cases, the legal record all point in the same direction. If someone you know is holding one of these thinking it's a safe investment or a reliable tool, share this with them before they find out differently at the range or in a trade-in conversation. No sponsorships, no industry relationships. Subscribe. We'll see you in the next